Hey, everybody. Welcome to Compin, Colorado. My name is Corey Ann. I hope you are joining us ready to look at some numbers and look at some properties here in Colorado. I'm here with my all-time favorite, not only my business partner, but also I call him the other half of my brain, Austin. How are you doing today?
Yo,
We haven't
yo,
talked
yo.
much today. It's been a
Good.
busy
It's
day.
been, yeah, I've been in and out of meetings since about 8 a.m. this morning, so we're rocking and rolling.
Yep, same here. Guys, no shame on my own YouTube page. I'll probably be eating my lunch at 3 p.m. my time because I really am very hungry. But just so you guys know, we're here for you. Honestly, in this scenario, most of you probably know me as the co-host on Straight Outta Compin on Jamil Damji's YouTube page. I hope many of you are joining us from there. And the goal here is just to make sure that we're taking care of our Colorado family. This is a great time to work deals together, to look at properties together. It's definitely going to be more chill, but I wanted to bring my favorite brain, the one that I use all the time for numbers, Austin, to you guys live. And I highly suggest you use him while he's here. So if you have any addresses, go ahead and just drop those in the chat for me so that I can help you with those specifically. And I already see Brian has one for us in Brighton, Colorado. So I am
Yes, he does.
going.
I already have it pulled up. I can share my screen.
Hi, Brian. Can you share your screen? Is it letting you?
Yeah, I think.
Beautiful. Yup. All right,
Okay.
I'll be right back. Talk out loud while you're looking.
Okay, so this one is very tough because it's a townhome. So you want to find something in. Let's take a look at the street view here. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So with townhomes and apartments, you typically want to find something also in the same complex if it is a complex, which it doesn't look like this is. So I'm going to pull this up on Zillow because that doesn't make any sense. Oh, right. Okay, so with townhomes, like I said, you always want to compare apples to apples. So we need to find another townhome that looks similar to this. I wish we had more photos so I can see exactly what kind of a townhome this is. Because there is a chance that it's just, 2 units or something of the sort. But on the off chance that it is a complex, which it doesn't look like it is from the street view, see if I can take another look here. This isn't making any sense to me. Not quite sure what it is that we're looking at here. Brian, do you have any more information on this? Is this a townhome? Is this a single family? Because I'm not understanding what I'm looking at, to be quite frank. Corian, do you have a graph? Do you see something that I'm missing? Because this looks like a townhome. Says it's a townhome. It says it's the only townhome in the community, but I don't quite see where it is that we're looking at. And we cannot hear you.
Oh, just talking to myself. So yeah, it seems like a really strange complex. And honestly, Brian, if you're willing, pop backstage and let's have a whole conversation about it because that's kind of the whole point of this. I'm dropping you the StreamYard link right now. Come back here. Let's talk about what's going on. In the meantime, can we?
Go ahead. I was gonna say if it's the only townhome in the community, it's going to be a very tough sell to a buyer. If it's the only townhome in a neighborhood full of single families, it's going to make it very much unappealing to a buyer. And
Well,
the
it sounds
seller,
like, according to Brian, the seller wants to do something that's more creative, which means we're looking at it completely differently in terms of whether or not that works. But, ooh, yay, Brian, hi. 1 second, we'll get you on stage. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's nice to meet you guys.
What's going on,
Good. Good. I'm just at
Nice
work
to meet
right
you.
now, but I'm glad I caught you guys.
Thanks for popping over here. I saw your address and I wanted to I wanted to jump to it because it was Colorado. So I'm glad to
Right.
find you over here. Now, tell us the story. Like, start rambling about what's
give me
going
the
on.
rundown
So
here.
I got sent this. I went to a meetup the other day and they had brought this to me and it's a subject to deal potentially. But I was kind of having the same issues that it was hard to find the townhouse or what exactly, this is. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of why I wanted to send it in, is kind of just see what you guys thought the price of it might be before, I even got back to the wholesaler.
Honestly, with it being the only townhouse, and like if you look at the street view, so this picture, I mean, we're obviously looking at what looks to be, unit 1, unit 2. But if you look at the
Right.
street view, this is where that's supposed to be, and this is not what I mean, I doubt that's what the front of it looks like. This could be from the back. But
Oh,
honestly,
right.
honestly, I would dig for a little more info before you even like run comps on it or anything like that. Mainly
Okay.
because this could be a whoopsie. You know what I mean? Because I don't see anything remotely close in the neighborhood that looks like it would look like this. Like if you look
Okay.
around here, like, you know what I mean? Like none of these houses really look like anything close to that.
Right.
And then if we go
Right.
farther down the street, it may just be, yeah, I don't know. It's weird for me. I mean, Corian, what do you think? What do you think?
Okay, so the first thing that I do is look at some other websites to see what are those websites pulling up. Maybe Privy doesn't have all of the info. And so I use what I have, the back end of the MLS, and I note that this is saying that this townhome changed living square footage by 500 square feet. That originally it said the living area was 1,300, and now they're saying 1,900. And you can't change square footage in a townhome. So that first is like, for me, like a red flag on who's listing this, which might be why we don't have any good photos, is because I'm like, how do we jump 500 square feet from one time to sale to another?
It looks like they have a basement of 640. So I don't know if they did something there.
Yeah, that
Attached
could
to another
definitely be a part of it.
structure.
The next place I go to is, okay, we already know that they're thinking creative, and creative has like a whole nother kit and caboodle as to why to look at it. And the ARV is important, but not as important as what kind of terms are we talking about here. So has
Okay.
the wholesaler given you any of that information?
Yes. So, the first thing I was already,
Oh, I think we lost him.
I think we lost him right at the critical moment for terms. Hopefully he'll be back.
Am I back on?
Yep.
Yeah, you're back on.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have the best service right here either, so that's fun.
You and me both. And just while he's kind of getting into service, I wanna respond to Neck Hammock. Which I still need you to drop your name so I stop calling you Neck Hammock. But in general, yeah, townhomes are incredibly hard. When I see them, there better be like heavy motivation coming from that seller as to why I should pop in and be helpful for me to even move on them. And if they need a creative deal, then okay, there might be motivation enough to dig in.
Right.
Hey, Brian, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, I must have been cutting in and out.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
lost
okay, so
you at
here's the
terms.
before photos. So now I'm even more confused. because like as we can
Pop
see
a
here, this
folder into this chat. Is that something I can do?
I'm not sure. But these are the before photos. So they basically just took the old MLS photo and put it up, is what it looks like. But
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't see where this structure is because it's quite a large structure from what we can tell from the front. Like this looks like a townhome community of such. So yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what's going on here because this definitely isn't here for sure by any means.
It kind of looks like a re-outfitted. I don't know. It's kind
This
of
is it down
strange.
here.
That's kind of what I'm saying is like, are we looking for a single family that's been turned into a few different townhomes? But overall, just to note, and for Brian, who dropped off, is you can't drop files into the chat, but you can email us and deals@closewithkickflip.com. I'll drop that into the chat and you can send us any folders and we can take a look at it.
I think I may have found the problem. The street view is taking us to the wrong location. This is the street that it's on. Okay, let's see if we can go down here.
Okay, so now all of a sudden we're in the right area.
Now we're on 22nd Street, but I still don't see any
While you're
townhome.
clicking and looking, I just want to let our audience know that what he's doing is so pivotal to your comping process when you really want to hone in on your numbers, because we've already seen Jamil Damji's appraisal rules and how important those are and how to adjust around them. Well, how do you know your adjustments unless you're really looking at what's going on the street? And if you know and you get on the street and you're like, oh, there's a double yellow line here, or wow, the backyard is actually Target. Like those kinds of things are so much easier to see on the street view, which is why both Austin and I always pop around and see what's going on.
Yeah, Brian, honestly, my gut tells me based on like how hard it is to even find this property that it's a pass. But like Corianne said, you can email it here and I can take a deeper look at it. I don't want to spend the whole live trying to find this house, essentially.
Especially since we know it's creative. And then that all comes down to terms anyway.
Yeah. So if you want to
Real
email
quick,
it to me, I'll definitely, take a deep dive and see.
shout out to Renee, now that I know your name. It's so funny. We're working on a deal together. I just didn't know your YouTube name. But I think it's really exciting that this has connected me to so many other wholesalers and agents and people around. Like, we're really here so that we can do deals with you. So if you guys have any properties you want to look at, or even better, any properties you want to sell, we definitely have some very hungry buyers.
Yes, we do.
If you have a address you'd like to comp and walk through, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Yes, I will. Can we look at a couple other places that aren't Colorado? That's not our main bread and butter, but I know there's a couple people that are dying for some address help.
I would say no because I don't want to give wrong information. I don't want to misguide somebody and then, you know what I mean? But ST, are you in Astro? How'd you find us here? Because I do have some people I could connect you with out there.
That, absolutely. If you're here and you're not working the Colorado market, thank you, Austin. I think that's 100% what we should do here. If you need connections to people in other markets, we would love to get you to our absolute best, because we pretty much have one in almost every state. And if I don't have one, then I'll probably try to go connect you to find them, something like that. I want somebody in Astro in every state. That would be awesome. And the beauty of it is, right after this, you're going to be able to jump over to Renee's YouTube, and she's going to be doing Compin, California. So we're kind of creating a little train for you guys of some of the best in specific markets.
Looks like Barbara has a good one.
Let's check it out. Sweet. Thanks for coming here, ST. I really appreciate it. When it comes to connections for Columbus, Ohio, go ahead and email us at deals@closewithkickflip. That'll give Austin a couple minutes to think about name, number, who's the right person to give you. And then we'll connect you to somebody that can really nail down the numbers.
Okay, so let's take a look at Barbara's here. I got it pulled up.
Hi, Barbara. Thanks for supporting me eating pizza.
Pull my screen up for me. I have it
You
shared, but I
got
can't
it.
bring it to the front. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. I want to see everything. Okay, so I'm drawing this box because these are larger roads, so I'd rather not cross them. So we're going to see what we have inside of here before we go out. And the first thing I want to see is how close is this to 40th? Oh, what is this? That's not good.
Uh-oh.
Commercial right next to it or right behind it is not good.
So we take a walk around the block
Okay.
per usual.
Yeah. Okay, well, I
And while
mean,
you're doing that, you can keep walking it if you want. This particular area and the zip code is not my favorite. It's like right on the edge of not yet in the development sector, because it's kind of like this big circle and the other side of 25 still houses a lot, like it's a lot of ugly properties, but not a lot of investment activity. And we're always looking for that edge of where are the beautiful properties, what is actually getting flipped right now, but not so far into this is a neighborhood of a bunch of ugly properties, because then we can't really flip it to its highest and best value. And I'm not saying the 8, obviously we just saw a beautiful flip. So it's not that the zip code's completely off the table. It's just there's a little less activity there. You've got to find the investors that are willing to see the potential and be the first ones, canary in the coal mine.
You know, I normally wouldn't like this one because it's not exactly the same neighborhood, but it is directly across the street from some commercials. So that kind of limits the amount of adjusting that we would have to do. So I do want to take a peek at this.
Wow, they flipped this beautifully to take such shitty photos. I mean, holy moly.
Right, yeah.
It's way too pretty for such bad photos. And it's funny because we look at like really ugly houses with really bad photos all the time. So you're like, my standards are a little crazy. But what I look for in a flipped property is that they have horizon lines and vertical lines that are correct, that are actually aligning with the photo. And they didn't even do that with the outside. Oh, whoops. It's a really cute flip, though.
See.
This is somebody I would call and be like, you're an amazing flipper. Whatever agent you have is doing you dirty. Come work with me.
So they picked it up at 3. Okay, so right off the bat, we can see that these people are out to lunch with price, right? I mean, this one is larger than our subject, and they want, $50,000 more. So right off the bat, we're going to say that they're overpriced. Let's check out this 575 here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so they're out to lunch on price. Because, I mean, as we can see, they're nowhere near the condition of these flips, right? So let's take a look here, because I do think that this could be a decent deal. Also, this is something that we've been seeing a lot of lately in Colorado. Is people are doing additions here. So you see this went from a 1-2 to a 3-2. If we go to the under contract, same thing here. They just added another bathroom, took away a bedroom, but added some square footage. Wow, $1 million.
Yeah, new build. The under contract, can we look at that a little? You're a fast comp, bro. I need to look at these numbers for a second. That one. Because it is an addition. Will you go to before and after? Did they pop the top on this? Because it kind of looks like they did.
It's possible.
And if they did, then it's a really a possible comp. But I think they purchased at like 325 or something. Okay, so they didn't.
Looks like
pop
they
the top.
added. Let's see if we can take a peek inside.
Ooh, Barbara, let's talk about this. You are never, ever lowballing. Let's talk about why. So when your agent comes to you and they say, what, you're just going to give a lowball offer? The response is, no, I'm going to give you an as-is offer. And I'm going to be looking at after repair values and what it's going to take to get me to that after repair value. And of course, I'm a profitable business. So I am going to be bringing you the as-is value offer that I can supply for you now that will still allow me to make some money after I've flipped this. You understand that. And you kind of had that conversation because no agent is out there going, yeah, flip it and make no money. If they are, they're not the kinds of agents that you want to work with. And if they're kind of pushing you and saying, oh, you'll give me a low ball offer, then seriously, nobody's taken the time to sit down and go, no, there's a difference between the properties that are retail value, after repair value, and as is value. And so I'm bringing you an as is offer. Never use that L word.
Okay, so I think this is our comp, mostly because this one isn't a true comp, in my opinion, because of the basement. The basement puts you over 1,000 square feet. So it's not, well, wait a minute. Okay, I know. Okay, so I think this one's our comp. It's not a true renovation, so we're going to make some adjustments here. What is this one? It's too large and too old.
Did you look at her description? Is she trying to sell this as a lot for a new build? Because it kind of is just a little poo box. So yeah, she is. 100%. Can we look at a couple new build comps and see if we can see land value sales? I doubt it, but it's possible.
Yes, give me 1 second. I'm double checking what this is zoned for.
Guys, he's so smart. I wouldn't even do that. I'd be like, what's in the new build area? But you've got to know what you can build, which is the zoning.
Give me 1 second. Let's see what I can pull up here. But honestly, as a new build, this is a market thing and kind of an experience thing. Off of what new builds trade for in Denver, new builds trade very, very high. If you're not building, $1 million plus homes, the new build play doesn't quite punch right now because of the cost of construction. With that being said, nobody's going to build $1 million home next to this, essentially.
Is that the view? Like, would that be, I walk out my front door, I've got my coffee in hand, I'm about to go to my really nice job because I own $1 million home, and that's what I see?
No, that's next door to your house. So your house would be here.
Okay, so that's to the left. Ugh, okay.
Yeah, so this would be your house. This is to the side of you and also behind you. If you look at the above view, this is the subject property, which is why I say new build. I don't think that's the play here, to be honest. I think this is a nice renovation for a first-time home buyer. That's your end user here, not somebody spending $1 million on a new build. As we can see, the new build in the area is quite a ways down the road, right? Like we're nowhere near that type of a commercial area. And it looks like there's actually quite a few new builds right here. This one and this one. So my gut tells me this is the comp right here. We're going to make some adjustments because, like I said, this one is not flipped, but it's nice enough to where it's not like, they staged it. They have nice floors in here. However, as we can see, they got some water damage here in the ceiling. They got, mismatched paint. So it's not really flip. It's nice, but it's not flip. So we're going to adjust about 10% up for it not being flipped, which will bring us to about a 390 and then add another 10K for the bed. So we're probably looking at about a 410 house, which pretty much lines up with this one. This one here, if you adjust for not having a basement.
Okay. I love that. And I love that what you're doing is showing those appraisal rules on both sides. Like here's something where basically we have to adjust up. Here's something where we have to adjust down, and wow, those numbers align. So really we're looking at a 410 ARV, which is where she's completely out to lunch on her 525 because she's looking at the end buyer as being somebody who wants to build a new home. Which is not the case. Like she's just wrong in regards to, I don't know, he or she, whatever, is wrong because of what's sitting next door. I think one of the things that I would also mention, let's play her game and say this is going to be a new build. What I would do in a pushback on the phone with said particular agent would be to ask them if they know the seller of next door. Do they know who owns the commercial building next door, and are they interested in selling? Because that's the only way this property becomes a 525 is if I'm also going to buy the commercial property next door, drop it all down, combine my zoning, and then hopefully build something that's a multi unit that's nice that people want in this area. That's the only thing I can think of where we can even look at this one property as a land value.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a stretch, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think this is the honestly, I don't think this is the area to do it, just based on, like, I mean, you got this massive commercial right here, you have this massive commercial, you have this massive commercial. This is more of a commercial area that they then infilled with houses.
So if our ARV is 410, what's our MAO?
With the condition,
she's not going to like the number,
probably,
but let's find out what it is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd say probably less than half what they're listed at. Let's see. I mean, with the condition, you'd probably want this at about 60%. And I mean, that brings you to about a 250 offer. So yeah, I mean, you're less than half of what they're listed at. So my best advice here is call the agent, see what's going on. I wouldn't present that with 20 days on market, to be totally frank. I would just, feel them out, see what they're doing, bring up the fact of like, hey, this seems like it's priced very high. What is going on here? Like, is your seller out to lunch? Are you seeing a comp I'm not seeing? Like, where'd your pricing come from? And I wouldn't even offer right now because they're not ready for they wouldn't have priced this aggressively if they wanted a cash offer. And it is worth noting they've done a price drop here in the last 20 days. So let's see what they brought it to the market at. That'll also tell us a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. So they brought it to the market at 575. Let's look at this sold at 555 around no commercial. So this is I would say call the agent and follow up a lot, but it's going to be quite some time with follow up. But that's okay because this will never, ever, ever trade anywhere remotely close to this. So you have the time to follow up for sure. Nobody's going to snatch this out from under you. Promise.
Well, and normally we would say in the chat, if somebody drops the address, it's theirs, don't go after it. In this scenario, Barbara's saying, I'm not going after this property. If somebody wants to jump on it, you can. So more power to you guys. Go snag it.
Yeah, or everybody go tell her she's out to lunch and maybe we'll talk some reality into it.
Yeah, let's team up for real. All right, let's look at Columbine Street.
All right, let's just keep my screen shared then. Because, or Corian, do you want to drive?
You're gonna want to keep it shared. No, I don't. Not today. I'm more than happy to drive Privy normally, but I honestly am kind of brain fried, so I'm really glad Austin's here. Leaning on him like I usually do.
Interesting. Okay. Is this a historical district? Do you know? Hey, funny enough, this is actually like one street up from where we just were at. Oh, well, no, it's not. I lied.
Cheeseman Park is, though. It's a really nice area.
We were a little farther
whether
up.
it's
Yeah,
a
Cheeseman Park
historical
is
district, though, not so much.
Cheeseman Park and Cherry Creek are really this whole pocket right here. This whole little triangle is super development heavy right now. Mostly because, I mean, as we can see, most of these houses were built well over 100 years ago. So if there's no historical anything protecting the building from being taken down, a lot of times it's safer to tear it down and start fresh than try to uncover all the problems that could be there with a 100-year-old house. Because a lot of times the electrical is not up to code, the plumbing's not up to code, almost nothing is up to code. So in most cases, it just makes more sense financially to tear it down. So let's take a look at this.
We also have a couple of buyers, though, where it's their bread and butter specifically to go after these like brick Victorian homes and update them with the charm. So it really depends on what buyer you're going after as to whether or not they're going to want to rip this down, build one of those beautiful mid-mod long houses, or whether they're going to want to turn something like this. This looks cute.
This is a perfect example. So this buyer, you know, obviously kept, they wanted to, this paint tells me they were going for as historic of a look as possible, right? Because this definitely isn't the, we just did a nice, beautiful flip. Let's put the beautiful paint on it. This is an interesting paint choice, but in this old of a home, if you're, I mean, as we can see, they kept a lot of the original fixtures. Like all this seems to be original. This lamp isn't definitely new. This is definitely the original fireplace. So they wanted to keep some of that historic in the home.
Yeah.
Same thing with this fireplace. Let's take a look. $8.99.
Super
recent
cute.
too. So I like this one. What else do we have? What's this? Don't like that one.
Different kind of build. Can't use that one.
Yeah. See if we can get a little more niched within this pocket.
That's a Craftsman. It's a little different. Wait, is ours a Craftsman? I don't think so. It's more Victorian. In these kinds of neighborhoods, that's where it really starts to matter. And you've got to know your market. You've got to know Colorado. And to some extent, the most important thing is the face the same face as the property that you're looking at? And by face, I mean literally the thing that's facing the road. What is it? What's its exterior? But there are specific kinds in Colorado that will sell higher. And that would be a Craftsman home or a mid-mod home. And then the Victorian, you just need to make sure we're pulling the same type of apple off the same type of tree and also looking at Victorian. That kind of looks like that might be the one.
This is very old of a comp. I'm not super fond. Okay, well, then based on what's around here, because the other thing with these historical, not historical, but older builds is, in the 1800s, there was very few developers developing whole neighborhoods at once. So once you get past, I'd say anything older than about 1920, it's really hard to find cookie cutter homes. And just in Denver in general, it's very rare that you're going to find a cookie cutter neighborhood of like, here's a developer that built, you know what I mean? Because even now, we're looking at what the developers are building now. And a lot of them, this looks like it could be new construction. No, I was just basing it off the price. But a lot of what the developers are building now are one-off, like, I don't know, what's the term for it? Like modern, like flat roof, super windows, massive, like floor to
That's the
ceiling
mid
window, like
mod.
that. Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on right now. And you'll almost never find two that look the same like that. They're the same.
Well, I guess that's
structure,
just modern, not mid mod.
But with this one, I like this as a comp mostly because it's the closest to what we're looking at. Let's look at the street view and make sure this is actually correct. We're going to have a chat with Benson about where his street view lands. Because we're on 12th Ave right now. I don't know how to get back to Columbine.
Is there a street view off of the map on the right that's not the street view in the middle? I think there might be.
There's a aerial view.
Oh,
but that's good
useful.
enough. We can get in there and at least make sure that we're looking at the right house.
Renee, I'm curious. I know this caught your eye, but is the seller interested in selling, and do they have a asking price? The two things that I'm always going to ask if it's off market is what's their asking price, and can I see some photos of the inside? Those are the two main things I would ask.
Okay, so yeah, honestly, I like this $899. I would adjust up a little bit, probably 10, 20, call it 40. I'd say you probably got about a 950. Reason being is a garage in Colorado is super useful. This one says it has a garage. I don't see it, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. Because now that I'm looking at this is that one large building. This is that second large building. I'm thinking that there's a garage in the back here.
Yeah.
Because
the other thing that I think
privy,
makes that adjustment so worth it, even for that, is that you're much closer to the park. And that's kind of a big deal, especially in Colorado. If you can clip your dog and get to the park to walk him faster, the better. Honestly. And I think you're like a few blocks closer to the park.
Okay, so Sandra, did you find, or Renee?
Renee is working with the seller, Sandra.
Gotcha. Did you find this driving for dollars? Because you said pre-foreclosure, off market, no contact yet. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, I would say knock the door if you're local.
Absolutely.
But with this, I think we have about a 950 house now. With this old of a house, I'm going to assume it needs a strong amount of work. So go about 55%. I'd say you can lock this up probably at like 525.
Reason for that being you can exactly. I was going to say that we're expecting whatever the end buyer to be to really want to put in quite a lot in terms of what it's going to cost to get this thing up to a 950.
Yeah, and we're looking at 2733. Yeah, because this is going to be well into a 6-figure rehab, so you need a hefty spread there. And not to mention with, when you're selling a house that's $950,000, your closing costs are you're riding up right against that 6-figure line also.
Absolutely. And this would just be a good this is kind of a good area to knock, especially since you are close to the park. And then ask, what's going on here? Are you under pre-foreclosure? How can I help you either get out or get this sold? Because it's a conversation Renee and I have quite often, which is that it's much better to pay the seller their equity than pay it to the bank. Nobody really wants that.
I had to
All right,
unshare for a second.
family.
My computer was struggling.
Yeah,
A
this
lot of tabs
it
open.
too. Oh, totally. That makes sense. And to stream live, it really does it sucks the juice out of your computer. So it's kind of a thing. Family, if you're still here hanging out, do you have any addresses or questions about the Colorado market that we can answer for you? You've got a few more minutes of the fabulous Austin. And if, let's say, maybe you don't want to share your address publicly or anything like that, you can work with us in the Colorado market. All you got to do is email deals@close with Kickflip. You're going to go straight to Austin. He's much faster on email and really good with the numbers to see if that's a deal that we could work together.
Yep.
I don't see any more addresses, so I would like to pull up my all-time favorite. You know her. You love her. She is my co-host and agent extraordinaire on Ask an Agent Anything. The fabulous Renee is hanging out backstage. What's up, Renee?
Guys, and gal. How are you? It's so funny. So we're gonna do.
That was a peace sign, not a middle finger.
What's a what?
I went like this, and it cut off one of my fingers, so it looked like just the middle finger.
Because you're in that fancy. I don't know. It looks like you're in Colorado, whatever that background is. I like it.
Man, I like the fireplace.
Good stuff, right? Anyway, guys, thanks for having me on. I know that I was popping in and popping out and just following the flow and the vibe. And I really love, Corianne, what you and Austin are doing. And it's a nice flow from, straight out of Compin with Jamil. And now you're doing Compin Colorado. And I'll be doing Compin California right after this. So if anybody's interested in the California market, of another investor that's interested, please love it forward, pay it forward. We're getting this going. It's all value for you guys. It'll be myself, and I will always have a guest. I don't know if it'll be the same guest every week. I'm kind of playing with it. But for today, for the kickoff, I have Keegley SoCal, Mike from Keegley SoCal. So guys, if you really need an actual answer for something, come on. He's going to be with me for an hour. And you'll know exactly what a wholesaler is looking for. I'm going to do a little bit of a different twist on this because I'm coming at this as an agent, not just a wholesaler. So I'm also going to be looking at things and kind of a deal or no deal as to, is it a deal for the creative? Is it a deal for a small lot developer? So I'm going to have a lot of different types of people on. Somewhere in June, I'm going to have a small lot developer. She's a woman and she does a lot of small lot development here in LA. So you'll be able to see how that gets comped as well. And another agent like myself, an agent investor, like Corianne, agent investor, and he does mostly multifamily. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep you on your toes for Compin California.
Oh, I love that. And no doubt.
What's a what? Oh,
what's your YouTube?
I can put it in the chat, or maybe Corianne, you can. No, I'll put it in the chat. I gotta find it.
I already put it in the chat, y'all. I am so ahead of you.
I love you for that. Anyway, have some mercy on me because I'm not as fast fingers as Miss Corianne is with the platform that we're using here. So don't make fun, but tune in because we're having a good time. It's definitely gonna be fun. So I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes.
Oh, and you're bringing such an amazing guest. I mean, honestly, for a premiere to have somebody from Keegley West sitting down with you and talking about the market in general, it's going to be fabulous today. So, Renee, just always happy to have you as a co-creator. I think we're going to get a little tongue-tied saying Compin Colorado and Compin California, but honestly, it's totally worth it and it's fine. We'll see you on the other side. I'll probably be there behind stage and make sure that all your stuff runs.
Oh my gosh, okay. I appreciate you for that. Thank you. Thanks, guys. See you in a minute. Be well.
All right.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Other Renee, I do want to touch on that. So there's two sides to it. An agent that wants to know, not very. An agent who hates investors, don't waste your time, is essentially my take on it. Because it's just going to be friction during every transaction. They're going to grill you with questions. They're going to it's if you have an agent that is like, hey, you're an investor, I've never worked with an investor, how can I work with you? Me and Corianne have a ton of those agents. Those are our favorite agents because they're very receptive. They're open to what we're telling them. They're not trying to nitpick everything. Like, you know what I mean? So if they hate investors and are like, I don't work with investors, I wouldn't even bother, to be honest. Corianne, do you have a different opinion as an agent?
No, I don't. I would say that one of the most important aspects is that this is really it's a people's business. It's an energetics business. And if you're not vibing with somebody and they're immediately giving you stonewall after stonewall after stonewall, it doesn't mean I go, I'm never talking to this person again. But what it does mean is I'll put them on a long follow-up. I'll talk to them in a month or two and see if they're interested now in potentially putting more cash in their pocket. Because that's really the big thing here is that they're concerned and worried that an investor and or a wholesaler, whatever term you're using, is going to waste their time and not put money in their pocket. Those of us that know exactly what we're doing in comping and that we've run the business, we're not wasting their time. In fact, we're doubling, if not tripling, the amount of closings they're having monthly. And if they don't want to listen to you about that, then go on to somebody that is attracting money into their pocket and work with them instead.
Yeah, I mean, I
Easiest
have a
way.
perfect example. Actually, I'm in the middle of a conversation right now. So an agent told me that, you know, yeah, we can work together. What are you looking for? I told him, hey, I'm an investor, et cetera, et cetera. And his response was, oh, no, I typically don't work with investors because you guys don't know how to recognize good profit. Me personally, Corianne probably would have dug deeper into the conversation. I'm personally not really interested at that point because we're 3 texts into a conversation and you're already causing friction on everything, asking me a million questions on how I run numbers and what my comps are and how do I appraise properties and this, that, and the third. And there's plenty of agents out there that understand the business and want to work with you and are ecstatic to work with investors. I would personally say work with the people that want to work with you. Don't try to convince anybody to, because it's usually not going to work. And to touch on the NAR thing, the thinning is coming. However, good agents adjust. Bad agents do not.
Mm-hmm.
For example, any agent that tells me they made it through 2008, I want to have the deeper conversation because you know how to adjust. You've proved that by still being around, because there's a ton of agents that got completely washed out of the business because they were unwilling to adjust. And the agents that are only buyers agents and are like, I'll only work with buyers if they pay me, cool, we're your buyer. If you don't want to work with investors, you're going to have a pretty tough time finding a homeowner that's going to go put 20% down on a home and willing to pay you 3% commission on top of that. So that's my take on it. Corianne, what's your take as an agent on the thinning coming with NAR?
It's already happening, which is both to me awesome, and like I know many people are like, oh, that must be terrifying, but I'm like, finally this service industry is going to have specific standards, and it's getting rid of people who aren't willing to play by those standards and or have been playing so long that they're not willing to be fluid anymore. And I went to an in-person event in my local realtors association last week. I was walking out and talking to some people that I'd done business with, and they were like, yeah, we're just finishing up our listings and then we're done here. Like, that's pretty much it. And I, of course, propositioned them, and I was like, well, when you have people come back from previous transactions or they want to work with you, send them to me and I'll give you a referral or a marketing fee. Like, don't turn away money. But in a lot of ways to them, the shifts are so potentially scary that they don't even want to move forward into the future to find out what that looks like. And I'm like, bye. I'm like, I'll
I mean,
see you later.
And honestly, if you ask me, like, coming from obviously not an agent, I'm a fan of the NAR, crackdowns. I think there should be more regulations on agents across the board because the barrier to entry is very low. Like, you don't, comping isn't like a required education. There's a lot of things that isn't required that 100% should be required. If I'm going to pay somebody, tens of thousands of dollars to sell my home, I'm very strongly expecting them to know how to value my home.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's, it'll basically, any agents that are left this time next year, they earned their right to be there. essentially is how I look at it.
Well, and the changes and the shifts that we're going to be seeing are honestly so simple. They're things I've actually already been doing because I'm good at my job. But mostly it's all about your conversations and being clear and concise about your commissions. And it's how you fill out a buyer broker agreement. Those two things are going to shift. And I don't know why it's making people run that they're going to have to be clear and concise, but that's quite literally what's happened. So in a lot of ways,
I look at it.
if
I look at it like the wholesalers that are like, hey, if there's any regulation, I'm out. So, okay, well, you're doing something that you're not supposed to be. Like, if you want to play that far under the table, you know, like that's the way I look at it. If you can't be upfront and open with your business, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, that's my take. I'm also a known, not a super fan of agents, except for Corianne and Renee. I like them, but the other ones, not so much.
Yeah, that's probably a whole nother hour that honestly we could break down your experiences as an investor on the phone with agents and how now you even move around it. I think a lot of people would benefit from it. I do want to let Veronica know that the lawsuit and all of that has happened, but the regulations actually go into effect. Everything changes on August 17th. They've officially put that
they pushed
date
it back
out there.
from July?
So they pushed it back from July. They were saying, oh, mid-July. But then when they dropped the date, they officially said August. And then I also want to get to the CEO, which I love it, claim it. That email, the deals at Close with Kickflip, is going to go to Austin. Austin and I share a brain, quite literally. So it's going to start with him because he moves faster on email while I'm doing things like this on lives or whatever. And so he's going to be able to tell you yay or nay to an address or help you get a buy price much faster. But just know that I'm behind him when it comes to negotiation and how are we dealing with agents, and Kickflip Consultants is our shared business. So you really can't go wrong emailing deals at Close with Kickflip. All right, y'all?
Yep. And you can always CC Corianne on there also at Corianne at Close with Kickflip.
Yeah, if you want to make sure I see it, you absolutely can do that. And with that, I'm going to jump out of here a little bit early so I can go make sure Renee's kicks off well. Guys, I've already dropped that link in the chat. Come join us over there if you'd like to. And thank you. Thank you for being here with us. It was honestly, this is fun. I cannot wait. We'll be back next Wednesday, the hour right after Straight Outta Compin, which usually is at 3 p.m. MST, y'all. Have a great rest of your day and go get those deals.